Modigliani. Hello friend, I'm really happy to be back with another oil pastel tutorial. A few of you requested some, which really made my day. I was really happy about that, and I'm glad to make more because I really like oil pastels, as you know. So today I thought it would be nice to do a portrait in oil pastel. Because oil pastels are not known for the detailed abilities, I thought it would be a really good idea to inspire ourselves from Amedeo Modigliani, because he made a lot of portraits and his style is very minimalistic, very clean lines. The perfect starting point for a beginner to try a first portrait. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun and not that complicated, I promise. So the first thing you'll need is a reference image, and I suggest that, as usual, you take an image that you took yourself of someone that you know, someone that you love, just because it's more meaningful. I'm sure that in 20 years, when you look at that portrait, you will be a lot more emotionally connected to it if you drew your mother, your sister, your friend, rather than Justin Bieber, Brad Pitt. I don't know. Trust me on this one. Pick someone you love, take a quick snap of them, easy as pie. The material you'll need is paper. The thicker the better. You should get a paper towel or rags, a little wooden stick. I also suggest that you get masking tape, a blending stump if you can get your hands on one. Very useful. If you can't, that's not a problem. You have your finger, it'll do the job really well. And of course, you will need some oil pastels. Sakura. French person struggle.
Sakura of America.
That
Sakura of America
sent me a 50-piece set of their expressionist range. It's their mid-level range, the student range, not the kids level, not the professional. So we'll be trying those out today. Before starting the tutorial, I looked at a lot of Modigliani's portraits, and I wanted to really pinpoint the specific elements that were characteristic of his own style so that we could translate it into oil pastels. What I found was that because he was also a sculptor, and he was getting inspiration from masks. You see that these portraits have a very elongated face with a long nose, not too many details, not too many shadows, very long necks. One other element I find is his signature almond-shaped eyes, and often they're hollow eyes, a plain color, gray or fully black. So Modigliani kept a lot of elements of sculpture translated in paintings to give a very striking and unique feel to his work of art. So I took all those elements, played around with them, and decided I was gonna do a portrait of David. Enough chatter, let's get into the tutorial. You'll see it's a lot of fun and it's very easy, and I'll see you at the end to wrap this up. One thing I like to do is to choose my colors and put them aside so that I don't have to look for them as I'm drawing. For this image, I chose browns, flesh colors, blacks, ochres, grays, and a couple blue. Set them aside and I'm ready to go. So the first thing I do is to put masking tape around the sheet of paper to create a nice white border. I find that it finishes the work very well. With a pencil, I'm gonna start sketching the portrait. I place the chin right about in the middle, but you can place it lower if you want, and then the crown of the head. And I draw a very rough oval shape just as a guideline. It's not going to be the actual shape of the face necessarily. Then I go ahead and I start with the elongated neck. You can put it as thin and as long as you want it to be. After that, I go in always looking at my reference photo and I draw the hair. Your photo might be very different from mine. It depends if the person has curly hair or short hair, straight hair. You just go with what feels right and however you want it to look. And don't forget not to try and be too precise. Don't be critical of yourself. This is just for fun. And Modigliani was not realistic whatsoever in his representation, so you can just do it the way you want to. Now I'll place the nose. I've put it about halfway down. You can put it pretty low if you want it. If you want a more elongated nose, it's your choice. And then you can draw the nostrils with two parentheses, kind of. And then the mouth. You have different ways you can draw the mouth. You can have a more heart-shaped mouth, a very wide mouth, a very thin mouth. You just draw it according to your reference image, of course. Try to mimic a little bit the expression that you see on your image without trying too hard to be too accurate. Now I'm going in for the eyes. It's very easy to almond-shaped eyes. The only thing you have to be concerned with is how close set together or far apart you want them to be. And I've drawn two lines for the eyelids, and you can use that same type of line for the eyebrows, but I've decided to go another route. I wanted to keep David's very bushy eyebrows, so that's what I did. But Modigliani wasn't doing that. He was doing a very simple line for eyebrows. And then with the ears, they're aligned with the eyes. Again, very simple. And now I'm gonna try and draw the jawline. I'm looking at my reference photo and trying to mimic David's jaw shape, but if you find it a little too complex, you can just keep the oval shape that you had initially. It'll work too. And now the hairline. It can be very distinctive from one person to the other person, so I tried to be as faithful as possible to David's hairline. And David has facial hair, which makes it a little bit more complex. Beard, mustache, but it's not that hard. I just go kind of randomly and mimicking the shape that I'm seeing on the reference image. And as you can see, I'm pressing really hard on my pencil, and that's for you to be able to see what I'm doing. But on your drawing, you should be very light-handed, so that it makes it easier when you go in with the oil pastels. It won't peek through. And you can put as many details as you want in the sketch, or just leave it very simply. Now I'm starting with the background. The reason I'm starting with the background is because David has black hair. With oil pastels, once you put your black down, you can't cover it anymore. You can't put a lighter color on top of black. So I leave the black for the very, very end. But if you have someone with blonde hair and you wanted a very dark background, you would have done the opposite of me. You would have started with the hair, the lighter hair, and then done the background after. And for background, I didn't really like what I was seeing on my image. I wanted something more plain, and so I decided to go with a gray palette with a little bit of ochre in the middle. I went randomly, I put down some pigment. It's better not to put too much pigment at first, to not saturate the paper too much. Whatever color you put down, you can use a lighter color to put on top, and it will blend it and lighten it at the same time. Here I'm using the rag to wipe off the the pigment off the white pastel, and I'm using the blending stump to blend everything together, but you can use your finger if you want to, it works as well. Put just a little color and add on as you go and mix a bunch of color all together. Here I use sandpaper to clean off the blending stump. It's the best trick that I've found. So for my background, I stayed with the teal, gray, ochre, and in the corners I've put darker gray, black and brown to create some kind of vignetting effect. Here I made a little mistake, so it's very easy to fix. As you can see, you just scrape it off. You can use the wooden stick or just with your nail, and then you blend it back. Now I'm doing the face. I'm starting with the flesh tones. I start very lightly, and for portraits, what you have to be mindful of is not to put color everywhere. All the high points of the face will be white, so don't put any pigments there. And that means the cheekbones, the bridge of the nose, the tip of the nose, the center of the forehead, depending on where the light hits. So you keep those white. And whenever there's dips in your face, on the sides of your nose, around your eyes, that's where you would put the darker pigments. So that's why under the nose I've put a dark tan, under the eyes as well, in the inner corner of the eyes, on the sides of the neck, to create that 3D effect. So in the middle I keep the white and light yellow, and on each sides, or wherever there would be shadows, I put a darker color. And as you can see, I don't go necessarily in order. I kind of go back and forth instinctively. I did some of the face, and now I'm going in the t-shirt. I chose teal and blue. And as you're seeing, I'm mixing a bunch of colors together. The more colors you mix together, the more rich and depth your image will have. Because whatever you see in real life is not one block of color. For the mouth, which might be a little trickier, what I suggest is that you use a stippling motion. Use a bunch of pinks, reds, and browns and dot it slowly on the mouth with the darker colors on the outside and edges of the mouth, and right in the middle where the line of the lips is created, but leaving the middle part of the lips with lighter colors and pops of white to create again that 3D effect. And if you see that you've put too much pigment, don't forget that you can rub it off with a little toothpick or a wooden stick, and you keep going until you're satisfied. For the hair, I'm trying to create nice strands of hair. David has curly hair, so I'm using browns for the highlights, and I'm using black for the rest of the hair. And I'm slowly building it up. And as you keep adding different shades, you'll see that everything will slowly take shape. I've decided to switch again, and now I'm doing the beard. I'm doing little stippling motions, dotting the pigment, slowly building everything up. And with the darker colors on top of white colors, you kind of have to be careful not to overdo it. You can always fix your mistakes, but it's better to just take your time. For the eyes, I wasn't too sure how I'd do them. Modigliani did a few types of eyes. Some were all colored, filled in, to create that hollow eye that I was talking about before, mimicking sculptures. But some of his paintings had kind of regular eyes, but I went with the big dark lizard eyes. I left that a dot of light though, but I kind of messed up, and on the left eye I wasn't able to leave the white, so you have to be very careful because the stick is kind of thick. Sometimes it's difficult to fix it. But what I did was I used some acrylic paint to dot a little bit of white on top. Now I'm adding more pigment to finish the face. All around the eyes and on the eyelid, I'm using darker colors, as I was saying, and don't be afraid to mix colors, and also don't get discouraged if you feel that it looks a bit weird, because until you're done, until you do the finishing touches like the hair at the very end, it's not gonna look right. But once you have that contrast with the background, I feel like it all ties together. You can put as many details as you want. You can take your time. You can blend things together, or you can leave them as is, not blended, to create more textures. And once you're done, you just sign your work of art. And the most satisfying part of all for me is ripping the tape and seeing that nice, perfect border. Ah, love it. So, what did you think? Do you think it's doable? I think it's doable. It's not that hard, and it's so much fun. I made David so thin, very thin, and with the black eyes. Oh my god. It's kind of like lizard eyes in a way. It's a little bit freaky, but very interesting, and he looks so sad. Well, that's how it turned out. I really love the color palette in it. If I had something to change, I would probably make his eyes a bit less close together and make his hair a little fuller, but that's about it. I love his bushy brows, and the background is very nice. The color palette is very nice. And I had a lot of fun, and that's what's important. Don't forget to shut off the judgment voice, the stupid judgment voice that tells you that it's not good enough and it's crap, or you should have done that. We don't want to hear it. It has no place in the learning curve. No. The important is to have fun and to keep doing it. So the more you do it, the better you'll get. You'll discover a lot of things. You'll discover things that only you will know, and that's what's fun about art. Exploring, experimenting, and to keep trying new things. So if you do try it, please tag me on Instagram. I would really love to see your work. I'm also very addicted to Snapchat. Guilty pleasure. Not even guilty, pleasure. So we can connect there. So if you like this tutorial, or you think someone you know might like it, please share it. That would really be much appreciated. Thanks for your support. Thanks for being here and for all your kind words. I really appreciate it. I'll see you soon. Please come back. I can't wait to see yours. Seriously. Show me. Tag me. I want to see them. Bye.